While we're getting our head around this power situation, have a look at this panel at the moment. It's bringing in 1 amp, just under 1 amp. Now you can see I've given the other ones a wipe. This one hasn't had one yet. So let's give it a wipe and see if it makes a difference. Nice sponge. You can climb up here for a sec. Let's give it a wipe and see what happens. We wiped all the dust off it. Looks like it's in pretty good nick, but it seems to just have more of a stable current now, I guess, than what it was. Before it was jumping all over the place. Now it's not as jumpy. A little bit jumpy. Anyway, so yeah, that's all that panel's bringing in, which isn't heaps, but it's doing better than this panel, which is bringing in 0.02 of an amp. Not ideal. This middle panel seems to be in the best condition. It's bringing in 5 amps. If you turn it this way, yeah, pretty solid 5. So I didn't want to have to redo all them. It's sort of like custom size for this Targa bar, so the ropes don't get caught around it, but I might need to try and find some solar panels that fit this. For any solar panel experts out there, this one here does have a lot of the snail trails in it, or these little cracks. Now, I'm receiving mixed messages. Some people are saying they're stuffed, other people are saying it's fine. The part that doesn't make sense is this panel here has the most amount of these lines in it. Sort of, yeah, this has lines all the way through it. Yet this panel is bringing out 5 amps, which is, yeah, it's good gear. Whereas this one is not. So I was hoping it was going to be just a bit of dodgy wiring or something that could be easily fixed. So I took the little box off, using the correct tools of course, and I think everything in there looks alright. There's nothing that's overly corroded, the connections are okay, there's a bit of sticker on that. Nothing could have gone in when they attached it, but I can't see anything obvious. Check this out. Not a massive plane fan, but this thing is a beast. So those props can go forward, backwards, underneath, whatever. They're like rotating, I guess all props rotate, but they can, the axis can spin at the base where it's held on to be able to shoot, yeah, from behind, underneath, wherever. So it's like a plane but can land like a helicopter, like a drone. It can go. Apparently, pretty cool looking thing. It's been doing laps around here. And I've seen the propellers in all different angles. One of our war machines. Oh geez, what's going on there? That looks pretty trippy through the phone, doesn't it? Phew! So these are the old batteries, the ones we bought from Indonesia many moons ago. And these are the new ones. So they're about the same size. Just did a little comparison. It's not that much bigger. These ones are heavier though. These are a bit over 40 kilos, I think, these batteries. So we got 5 of them. So let's say, so 200 kilos worth of battery. And then also these little Optimas, which are the starters. I've had these before. Love those ones. They've got a higher CCA, so they just go raw and give you heaps of power in a short amount of time, which is good to crank over the motors. Whereas these are more like, ooh yeah, you know, just humming through the day, take it easy, get a bit of power there, a bit of power there, everyone's having a good time. Whereas these guys just want to yell. These are the starter batteries that I bought from Indonesia before the last trip over. These aren't AGMs. You can hear that. You can hear the liquid, the lead acid, floating around in there. I guess one of the biggest fears I had sailing solo for that little bit back was it leaking. So The AGMs were in here, which looking back, was probably unnecessary. But I couldn't find a case in Indonesia for it, so I ended up, there's a lid of it actually, it's just a toolbox. It was a toolbox in some funny little store in Lombok, and you can see I drilled into the bottom there and sealed that up there. So this was going to act as my battery box, so if there was overcharging by the alternator or anything like that, it would have leaked just into that compartment. Yeah, because I guess if I didn't have that, if I just strapped it straight to the floor, the timber floor there, and it leaked, a few days of sailing without knowing if anything was wrong or not, you wouldn't really know, I guess, if the engines were going. And there's no alarm or anything to say overcharging that I'm aware of, so it could have leaked without that, gone through, eaten through the timber, eaten through the vessel, eaten through the hull, and I guess potentially taken on water, sunk the boat. Maybe that was just a fear that I had. So I put in, there's a lot actually to try and find this bloody toolbox. It was a really difficult thing to do, but found it. Got one for the other side too, and installed them, but now I don't need them. So it was sort of like a whole day over there that I spent. Don't really need it anymore, so I'm going to try and repurpose this, because, you know, it took time. Whilst putting in the new batteries and chasing some wires, I was just checking a few connections, looking for any greying or any discoloration. And then I came to our little bus panel, little power distribution panel here, and I noticed that this wire down here looked a little bit dark. So I gave it a little bit of a rub, and whoop, lo and behold, the pump starts going off. Why on earth would that be, I hear you say? I'll let go of it, and it stops. So there is a loose wire here, but the bigger question is, why does a loose wire make the bilge pump work? Because the bilge pump is on a float switch, which means it normally only turns on. Yeah, it normally only turns on when when it floats up. So I felt that down there, and then I went up to the actual bilge switch up here, and I thought, well, maybe it's loose up here. Sure enough, it went off again. And I listened. You know, you can hear water being pumped. So I took the old floor panel off, and we're full of water. Not full of water, but we've got water in the keel. I had a little sip of it. It's fresh water, which I guess is good. I'm not sure on its origin. We still have water in our tank, so I don't think it's a leaking pipe from our tank. I'm not sure how this massive amount of water would have got in here. But I'm going to go check the other side and fix this wiring up. There it all goes, right down. Where did it come from? There she is, the old float switch. You see, once it goes down, it will deactivate. So just as well, so going through all of these little systems do make a difference. There we go, it's tapped out there. That's alright for now. I'm going to let that stuff dry out there so I can mop it out a bit easier. To get that last little bit pumped up, we've got this handy stick here, which will raise it up. And it just pumps out the last little bit. There she goes. And I'll get down there and mop all this out. But I'll let that sit overnight. We need to pay a lot of more attention than initially planned towards all the existing electrics. This whole section.